It's the Standard Pauper show. It's a show about Standard Pauper. Hello, everybody. It's Brennon, your lovable host. Along with me today is Sam. Say hello, Sam.
Hello, Sam.
See, he does take instruction well.
I do.
All right, well, as you can see from the screen, we've got ProTour to discuss. A lot of things going on. A lot of Khans of Tarkir. We saw a lot of different things happening in the top 8. So, I guess let's start off with what happened this week in Standard Pauper. Quick note, there is no Standard Pauper events this week. By the time you hear this, you should probably already know that, but that's okay. There's a thing going on right now with the filter. And Gwynedd wrote a post about it, and this, I'm going to quote him from his post. Let me be clear, unless things change between now and then, all the following cards will be legal for MPDC 2701, even though they are not printed at common in the new standard format. There's Arc Lightning, Congregate, Darksteel Citadel, Eternity Snare, Gather Courage, Grave Digger, Heat Ray, Reprisal, Riddle of Lightning, Springleaf Drum, and Stab Wound. Currently, those should not be legal in Standard Pauper, but due to some kind of filter snafu, when you try to join a game, it checks these as common because they were printed at common at one point. All right.
And it's just in bad in Classic Pauper because...
Oh, that's right.
It's even worse because you can play him to Turax and Red Elemental Blasts and stuff. So... be careful about that, especially if you're playing the weekend events, because that can be somebody exploiting an exploit, and you can report that and get a reimbursement for your entry fee and stuff.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind.
There's a reason that even in paper Classic Pauper, people don't let in Sinkhole and Hymn to Turok, because for 2 black, they're unfair.
Well, not only that, but a lot of people have like a dollar limit rule for commons and sinkholes. I mean, they're common, but in the paper world, they're really, really rare.
Yeah, they're like $60.
Yeah, but hymns are all over the place. I mean, I probably have like 20 Hymn to Turax out in my magic box right now in the garage. So, like, that's definitely a beating. I mean... Yeah, there's a reason they don't print discard like that anymore, guys. It's insane.
Yeah, because it's random, 2 random cards.
Yeah, 2 random cards, and they, in my experience, it's always your 2 best cards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, just sick.
It's kismet.
Yes.
All right. Okay, let's talk about the ProTour. I wanted to give a quick rundown of the commons found in the top 8. So you look at the top 8 decks of the ProTour that happened this weekend in Honolulu. Gee, it must be rough. There are not that many commons, which let's go through them first, and then we can kind of talk about what that says to me. Commune with the Gods is in 1 deck. There was a 4 of. I didn't go through sideboards. This is only in main boards. Disdainful Stroke. There's only in 1 deck. Dismal Backwater, which I found it interesting that particular one was in only 1 deck. Dragon Mantle in 1. Elvish Mystic, only in 1 deck. So that whole Moly Trinity that Mr. Laux was talking about on Constructed Resources, only 1 in the top 8. It's crazy. God's Willing. There, it's only in 1 deck. Lightning Strike, by far the most common. 3 different decks, 4 of in each. Retraction Helix for that Jeskai combo, and then Tormenting Voice for some card draw.
Kind of the black horse out of the whole bunch, because it was the one guy in the top 8 running them. So that's the card that shocked me the most out of all of them that showed up at common. Maybe Dragon Mantle.
Dragon Mantle to me was weird, yeah. But it's a cantrip too, right?
Commune is strong.
Commune's strong. I expect to see
Stroke?
more. Yeah, Disdainful Stroke, that's the 4 or more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a counter a spell if it costs 4 or more.
Right.
Spell. So, but like Elvish Mystic, I think is just a little outclassed right now by Sylveon Caridid. Even though it's 1 mana more because of the hexproof. God's Willing, I didn't see a ton of combat math that was that complicated. And of course, Lightning Strike, the best burn spell in the format.
Right.
And Helix, of course, being the enabler for Jeskai Madness. That deck is something.
That's crazy. Turn 3 kill in Standard is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's faster in Modern. So, like, it's crazy. Just a completely insane idea that slipped through R&D. So
someone said, we were looking at cons and everybody's like, oh, I don't know, does it offer anything to Legacy? Doesn't seem like it. But now you have people talking about that this set has done more for Legacy formats than the past 2 sets, which to me seems crazy, but it has created more ripples than either Theros or Ravnica.
Well, I mean, Disdainful Stroke, Treasure Cruise,
Treasure Cruise,
Dig Through Time, maybe the Jeskai card, the Ascendancy card. All of the charms seem really good. Maybe not highly playable, but still really, really strong. So, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff for not just Standard. Stuff that actually doesn't, like Disdainful Stroke, doesn't necessarily even fit all that good into Standard. But it's still going to be a powerful card because cheap counters always are.
Oh, yeah.
And it's actually less situational than Mana Leak when you stop and think about it. So I like it quite a bit.
It's the only thing I can
I'll go ahead.
I'll say the only thing I can think that it doesn't counter Tarmogoyf, which is upsetting. But
right.
A lot of other stuff. Most things that are four mana or more, you don't want to deal with.
Right. I mean, because it gets pretty much every Planeswalker that sees play.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't get Goyf, but I mean, Goyf dies to pretty much every type of removal that like a blue-black deck is going to pack. So,
right.
I mean,
it's true.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, I didn't think a lot of commons would show up because it is a brand new set.
Right.
It's the first Pro Tour with it.
Right. I was surprised that Treasure Cruise didn't show up at all. Not once.
Not in the top 8, but in a lot of the earlier rounds, people were cruising. I saw it all over the place.
Yeah, Dig Through Time has gained the new Sphinx's Revelation mantle. So,
and it's good. I mean, it's no Sphinx's Revelation, but I mean, people are playing the pay 5 mana, draw 3 cards, Jace's Ingenuity right now because it's an instant. I mean, Dig Through Time is powerful. It's amazing. There's no life game component. So it's not as powerful, but I like it. I mean, so it's definitely like any deck that could play it, I think, was playing 4 of, which is really strong for a Delve card because you don't necessarily jam 4 ofs with Delve. So
I think that people also saw that even if you did have to cast it for its full value, getting to dig 7 and pick the best 2 is pretty important.
No, and I mean not losing the other 5 cards because you go on the bottom. Yeah, so you don't have to worry about shortening your deck and any of that type of stuff. So
I think they also did that so you wouldn't delve it out and then basically set yourself up with 5 more delve cards immediately after.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So you couldn't dig twice in the same turn.
Right, that'd be rough.
That would be 14 cards with 4 in your hand. And that's
crazy.
That's crazy unbeatable. It really is. I mean, if you're not set up after that, then I don't think you constructed your deck good. But yeah, no, I mean, it's a good turnout for commons, though. I mean, because it's not a format of strong commons taking over the game, or utility commons really being all that great.
Right.
I mean, there were a lot of rares, a lot of mythics, a lot of like that type of stuff. I mean, even at the uncommon level, it was mostly charms that saw a lot of play. So, not a bad representation of the power level right now. So.
Yeah, I do like how Retraction Helix has gained so much attention. I mean, I guess it's reprint Banishing Knack, but still, it's a common that everyone's talking about now. That and Treasure Cruise, so I think that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, here's something to talk about. Derek Brent, he had some decks in the Standard Pauper Gauntlet. Fan or friend of the show, he asked Gwynedd and I to take a look at a deck that he had put together. He does not play online. He only plays actual paper, Standard Pauper, which is really cool. Here is his deck. It's 4 Satyr Wayfinder, throwing stuff in the yard. 4 Necromancer's Assistant, same thing. Rotfeaster Maggot, eating on stuff in the yard. Hooting Mandrills, Sultai Scavenger. 4 of on each of those, basically to abuse the delve mechanic. Commune with the Gods, put more stuff in the yard. Scout the Borders, more stuff in the yard. 4 Dutiful Return to pull stuff out of the yard. And then you have Debilitating Injury for some removal, and Font of Return to, again, pull stuff out. And then a nice land set up. I saw it, I thought it was too much all in. So what I did is I asked Sam to come up with his version. I was coming up with my version to see if we could help Mr. Brent and also help everybody out there. Because when I look at this, I think you are putting a lot of your time and effort into just casting Hooting Mandrills and Sultai Scavenger for cheaper. Yeah, that's good. But you got to think to yourself, at what point in mana cost is it good for you? A 4/4 ape, how much CMC is that good enough for you? A 3/3 flyer, how much CMC is that good enough for you? I know that after I asked him, Derek was shooting for 3 CMC for each of them, which is really nice. But other than the Scavenger, the apes don't have evasion, I don't believe.
Trample.
They have trample. They do have trample, which is good.
Yep.
The Scavenger flies, but
and
again,
the Hooters, they have trample.
Yeah, that's good. The Hooting Mandrills, Hooting and the Mandrills have trample.
Yes. So, and I mean, my when I looked over the deck, I initially thought it had some conflicts going on with it. Number one, you're going to put a lot of your deck in the graveyard. A lot. Maybe more than you need to. It's playing a lot of 4-ofs, just as kind of old school deck construction goes. And then it has 8 ways of returning things from your yard. And when you're delving as much as this deck wants to, you may not have that many things to get back at any given time.
Right.
So maybe it was a little overkill on that aspect of it. So.
Yeah, I thought so too. But let's look. I think you are up first. Yes, it is Sam, the Vault Boy Hunter, up with his deck. Take it away, Sam.
Okay, so I went full Anna on this because because I thought there's too many good things about going 3 colors right now, even in Standard Pauper, because that's just how we're set up currently. I'm kind of actually surprised there's not more 2 or 3 color cards at common. There's the morph guys, but that's about it. So maybe in the next couple of sets we'll see more of that, but for right now there really isn't. So you'll find that most of the cards are single colored. So Creatures, Satyr Wayfinder, I think are pretty much a staple of this type of deck. Nimbus Naiads, talk about those a little bit more in a few moments. Undergrowth Scavengers, and I've played a little bit with the deck. I've played like 3 games, and I'm 3 matches. I'm 2 wins, 1 loss. I lost to Remedio 1, Robert, because he's a beast at the format. And I've cut the Scavengers. You would think they would be really good if you're putting a lot of stuff into your yard,
right?
But at most I've ever cast them for is a 3/3.
Wow.
For 4 mana. Just doesn't get the job done. Hooting Mandrills, 3 of. Sultani Scavenger, 3 of. 2 Lash of the Whips were my original thought. But those have actually become a different removal spell that I'll talk about a little bit later on. And then sorceries, Commune with the Gods, to get enchantments or creatures. 3 Asphyxiates because it's cheap removal, and there are quite a few creatures that just sit there in the format. So it's actually not inconvenient to hit something that's untapped. Read the Bones. The original deck lacked card draw. Scout the Borders. Of course, this one lets you get a land or a creature, so that's convenient. And then 2 Treasure Cruise, because drawing 3 for 2 mana, 1 mana, amazing. Enchantments, 3 debilitating injury, because it's not whatever it's called, but it's as close as we're going to get.
Dead weight.
Yeah, and then 2 Fawn of the Returns, because I did like having some graveyard recursion, but I thought 8 was too much, and with the Commune with the Gods, you're more likely to draw into it. And
That's
then
true.
the 23 lands, I've actually cut it down to 22 because of the Wayfinders and the Scout the Borders. I was actually getting flooded a lot.
Oh, wow.
So I cut one of the Unknown Shores out. One of the cool parts about this format is a lot of the time you start your game at 24 life, 23 life, 25 life, because you're going tap land, tap land, tap land, tap land. One thing to point out here is for Evolving Wilds, it's nice having something that powers your Delve without having to use a spell slot for it.
That's true.
With the deck, I have cast a Hooting Mandrills for 1 mana on turn 3.
Wow.
Going Evolving Wilds turn 1 into a Commune with the Gods turn 2, or Evolving Wilds into Satyr Wayfinder, getting a land, and then turn 3, boom, remove those 5 cards. Hooting Mandrills turn 3 for 1 green mana. Pretty cool. I will say, and the reason that I've cut the Undergrowth Scavengers are you end up a lot of the times not having really anything in your graveyard to get the counters on there. And it's not like a one of the old Goyf spells where it gains and loses power and toughness equal to the creatures. It gets the counters when it comes into play.
Yeah, it just gets counters.
Yeah, so it's just not as flexible. But Read the Bones is good card draw. I like the mix of Scout the Borders and Commune with the Gods because they both get you different things. Nimbus Naiad was in there to give flying to the Mandrills, or I thought on the Scavengers. But having a 6/6 flying trample Mandrills is a good way to end a game.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, so, and it's searchable with the Commune.
Right.
So that's my take on it. It splashes in a color. It's a light splash, and then gives you access to like negate in the sideboard, banishing stroke in the sideboard, bounce, that type of stuff. And it's not all that bad. Sorry about the background noise. And it lets you play a couple more of the common refugee lands and the backwaters and I put in 1/3 Wood Falls, because that's 3 more life, and there's just not enough burn to burn you out quick enough that life isn't relevant. And as I said, I played 3 games, 2 against a couple random people, and then 1 against Remedial 1. And he whooped me up playing a black-blue build that was very, very control-y. Like, he had removal every single time he needed it. He was playing the Convoke deal 4 damage, gain 4 life spell from M15, and that's a great answer to Mandrills. Because it takes nothing really to cast it out. That's just my take on the deck.
Okay.
And yeah, it's been updated. But if anybody wants that, they can always email me and I can send them along the updated list. So
yeah, and I'll put links to our lists on the show notes as well.
Awesome.
Okay, now, let's take a look at an opening hand.
Oh yeah.
You got the Jungle Hollow, Forest, Swamp, Satyr Wayfinder, Scout the Borders, Read the Bones.
Okay.
So.
And this is a keep.
Keep. Yep. I agree.
Because Hollow into Forest into Wayfinder turn 2. And then you're digging, you're getting another land. You have the Scout the Borders to dig and get more lands and more creatures. You're filling your graveyard. You've got good, easily special card draw. No, nothing bad about this hand except for maybe having a Mandrills in place of one of the Scouts maybe would be nice there. So
right, but I don't think it's worth mulligan just to gamble on that. So let's look at the next 6 that come up. We have another Jungle Hollow, another Swamp, the Commune with the Gods. There it is, Hooting Mandrills, 4th card down. Now, the interesting thing here is that if you had cast the Satyr Wayfinder on turn 2,
right,
you might have to throw Mandrills in the bin.
You would bin that Mandrills, yes.
So let's see what's coming up next. We got another Scout the Borders, but we also got a Treasure Cruise, 6 cards in. So it's one of those things, you got to think about it. A lot of, when I show these 6 cards, it's basically theoretical because so much changes in what we cast beforehand. Sometimes things, what if it had been if you got Evolving Wilds, you shuffle your deck, that kind of thing. But still, I think it's still a good representation.
Not only that, but this isn't the next 6 draws. This is really, on turn 2, you're looking down to the Mandrills. Turn 3, you're drawing Scout the Borders. And then from there, you can Scout, or you can get the Treasure Cruise. So, I mean, these are just the next 6 cards. And so, I mean, the deck itself, I've upped it by 1 Treasure Cruise because I didn't like bending them as often as I was. Mm-hmm. And it's just an amazing card. I've cast it for 1 blue mana. I've cast it for 2 blue mana.
Still not bad.
No, I mean, even at 2, it's better. Even at 3, it's still better than Divination.
Oh, agreed.
Great card. I like the art.
It is interesting.
Every time I cast it, I type into the chat, "I'm on a boat." So okay, so yeah, that's my deck. And with the sideboard, I'll talk about some cards that I think are sideboard worthy in a little bit.
Okay, cool. All right, let's look at my version. I just kept it straight Golgari. I did Leaf Crown Dryad, Satyr Wayfinder, Netcaster Spider. I did 2 Scavenger, just also because I like the 2/5 body. 3 Hooting, 3 Scavenger, 2 Lash the Whip, just like you, and I kept in Asphyxiate because it's a good removal. Read the Bones, but I also put in Molting Snakeskin so that any of your creatures that are out there, Molting Snakeskin adds something I think is more useful now. Because there is no more exile at common, being able to regen seems of greater importance. It might not be the greatest thing out there, but just having that regen capability is pretty darn handy. Cast into Darkness, because this is a deck that wants to beat in and break through. Cast into Darkness does just that. If you can't eliminate them with a Lash of the Whip, a 6-8 or whatever, Cast into Darkness, they're not blocking. Debilitating Injury for some more removal, and Font of Return for a little more recursion. I was talking to Sam. I have just 8 forest, 4 jungle hollow, and 10 swamp. I think, going off of what he said earlier and what we talked about earlier, I think I would exchange some forests and swamps for Evolving Wilds. Again, you can do that minuscule amount of deck thinning, but it's also not forcing good stuff into the bin just to scavenge or just to delve. I have no qualms throwing away 4 used Evolving Wilds to cast my Hooting Mandrills for 1 and a green. It's
I mean,
a no-brainer.
That's something we learned from the ProTour this weekend, is that a lot of the guys were playing off-color fetches.
Just to put stuff in
to get earlier dig-through times and stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty awesome.
Yep.
So let's look at opening hand. Forest, swamp, Font of Return. I'm already liking it. Satyr Wayfinder, pretty awesome. Leaf Crown Dryad, Netcaster Spider. I am feeling really good about this hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you throw down the mana you need. You have the font all ready for when you Satyr Wayfinder and throw stuff into the yard. Leaf Crown to add some beef. Oh man, this looks good. Let's look at the next 6.
Huge fan of the Netcaster Spider.
Yeah,
it's amazing against a lot of decks that want to play evasion creatures, and it's a sideboard card in my deck. But yeah, definitely awesome in the main. So
it's a 2/3 for 3, but it has reach. Whenever it blocks a flyer, it gets +2/+0. So guess what it eats? The scavengers.
It eats everything, and it trades with a lot of flyers just without even dying. So that's just really good.
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. Let's look at the next 6 so we can find out what our Satyr Wayfinder looks at. So first one, it's a forest. Read the Bones, not bad. Another Netcaster, another Satyr, Undergrowth Scavenger, there's 1 of 2, and a Forest. So, not bad. I like what we have going on here. We don't have either the Hooting or, we don't have the Hooting Mandrills or something, but it's solid creatures.
You're probably going to have a pretty decently sized Scavenger.
Yeah.
Like as early as like turn 5, if some attrition happens, because there's nothing wrong with just attacking those Wayfinders into bad blocks and stuff just to get more cards in your yard. They're kind of useless after they first come down. So
yeah, they're chumps. Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I could put that Leaf Crown Dryad on it. Pump that bad boy up to a 3/4.
And you could put it on the Netcaster and give it double reach.
Double reach. Reaches up twice as high.
Yes.
For those things that really fly high.
Yes. Super flying.
Right. All right. Okay. Now, you wanted to talk about some cards?
Yes. The cards. Treasure Cruise. Don't sleep on this. This is insane. This is going to be one of the cards that transcends Standard Pauper, I think. I know I've seen it in Delver decks already and just regular Pauper. I've seen it, they were playing it in Standard. Anything that has ever really resembled Ancestral Recall has seen play. And even at sorcery speed, even having to get rid of dead cards in your graveyard, I mean, it's still the possibility of drawing 3 for 1 blue mana. And, I mean, it's amazing. It's still good up to casting it for 3. So never feel ashamed about doing that. But it is definitely a strong, strong card. So I bought mine the opening weekend at 20 cents a piece, and I don't regret it. Even though they probably dropped in price by now, but I just wanted to get out there and try them out. So
Oh, me too.
Card. Yeah.
Yeah, I have 4 of right now. It's going to be so useful. All right, want to talk about another one?
Flush to Dust. This is the best black removal spell. It's horrible that it costs 5, but it does get around the regeneration.
Right.
There's virtually nothing with hexproof left. Almost nothing with protection. So it's going to get pretty much anything you want it to get. And in Ana decks, when you're ramping, it's really, really good. In black-blue decks, it's going to be really, really good. I've cut Lash of the Whips for it because it's effectively the same mana cost. It's got 1 extra black, but with all the fixing, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. But destroy target creature, it can't be regenerated. There's very, very few other cards in the format that say anything close to that good. Right. It's a little more mid-game, but I have yet to run into a straight kill you by turn 4 aggro deck playing some Standard Pauper. So definitely a good deck to consider if you're looking for quality removal. Right. And then my last card is more removal. This one's more for sideboards. Theros Block, while not being as represented in the format anymore because people like the new shiny cards, people are still building Voltrons.
Yes.
The white decks especially are still building up really big Wingsting Riders and stuff. So this is definitely a good card to think about for sideboards. I know in my Raka Prowess deck, I have been playing like all of the cantrip enchantments onto my Prowess guys, like not Ordeal Affiliate, but the one that gives +0, +2, and lets you draw a card.
Yeah.
And Feast of Dreams lets you kill that Prowess creature because it becomes an enchanted creature, right, for 2 mana. And I have not lost a match with my Prowess deck yet, because it can win out of the blue. I mean, I dealt somebody 15 points of damage in 1 turn with it, just by playing 2 enchantments and a lightning strike, because I had 2 of the Wing Scouts in play. Right. And they both attacked for like 6 damage. And it was crazy. So these are cards that I think Treasure Cruise is just going to be all over the format. Flush to Dust is amazing removal. The best in the format in the black spectrum. Maybe the best overall right now. White has Kill Shot, but it's conditional. And then Feast of Dreams is conditional, of course, but it's going to get rid of a lot of what people are playing out of Theros Block. Right. Which is still important because those decks are the more aggressive decks. You know, mono white, mono red, heroic, the green heroic deck that I haven't seen much of recently, but just some insight, having played about 8 games. Okay. And that's saying a lot because that's like 30 minutes of waiting each game for a match. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the truth.
Unfortunately.
All right, let's see. Well, let's see if we can get Dan on the line.
Hello there.
Hey, Dan.
Hey,
good morning.
Hi, Sam.
Good morning, Dan. How's it going?
It's good. It's early.
Yeah, it's definitely early for you. But we're glad that you joined us, Dan.
I am glad I did too.
So, we were just talking about standard Pauper stuff. Now it's time to talk about the Gauntlet. Dun,
The Gauntlet.
Dun. Yep. So.
Yes, we're still in round 2.
Still. Wow. Man. Double
have
eliminations.
We have lost 3 competitors.
Uh-oh.
Only 3 decks have left us so far.
That's still pretty
good. You know who they are?
Please enlighten us as to our fallen peoples.
Well, Dumb Green Tron died last week.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Sam.
First blood. It's okay.
And then we have lost Pox.
Pox. Yeah, I saw that match.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah.
Lost to One Land Spy.
That
went off pretty good.
You're like, hey, he doesn't have any lands. How can he win? Oh, just like that.
Yeah, I almost thought I was being trolled, but that deck doesn't work for me. What the hell?
Yeah, I thought you were pretty in the clear. I was like, oh, he's going to try. He's going to fail. Oh, my God. Nope. He did it.
I think that game showed the resiliency of One Land Spy in the hands of somebody who knows what is going on with it. Because like you were doing super like offensive stuff, and it didn't matter. Just straight up didn't matter because he still
did go off on round 2, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, that was just
nuts.
It was insane, and I think it was a good tutorial for all of us who like are trying to figure out how that spy deck works, because he did it perfectly, like both games. So
he waited and waited and waited till he had basically the ability to go off right there. Incredible.
He had to wait until turn 2.
Right. Well, no, I think the first game, it was like turn 8. But yeah, the second time.
Then it was the last possible moment.
Right. And then the second one, it was like, you had no hope.
We're going to play your third land the next turn or something like that.
Right.
I'm going to do this. And it just didn't matter. It didn't matter. Because he was just like, no, you're not going to do anything else. Sorry. So, but yeah, no, that it was a good tutorial for the spy deck and a bad loss for Mr. Payton and Pox. So
yes, the last deck we lost also got some really bad matchups. It was the Assassin's Apprentice, the Death Touch deck.
Oh right,
and it lost to Familiars.
Yeah.
To Delver Fiend in the first round. Not really decks it was created to combat.
Yeah, that's a rough one, pal.
Yeah, it was created for more of like your stompy type of matchup and playing against a deck without interaction like Familiars.
Yes.
And you did the best you could. Like you tried to keep them off of Familiars wherever you could and all of that good stuff. But like once that deck gets going, you know, it's just like it's a landslide of unstoppability after a certain point. So.
Yeah, because you playing around the onslaught of Ghostly Flicker, it just felt so hopeless. It's like, oh, I could try, but it won't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I took a duel off him, that I actually managed to kill him in one duel.
Nope, that is an accomplishment.
It is, because that deck is so automatic, so...
Yeah, there's been plenty of losses actually, but only in matches it does not matter. But I have a message for the Brewers. And it's a message I'm repeating, but I feel that it needs repeating. If you want to update your deck, for example with the Khan duels, please... You have to send me an email and you have to update the page itself. Because administration is rough on the Gauntlet. There's a lot to keep in mind.
What's the deadline for that? Because I am making 3 updates
There is no deadline, so as long as you haven't sent it to me, I'll play the old version.
Okay.
Okay.
No, that's good to know.
I'm gonna do it before the end of round 2. So
Yes.
look for that in the next few days, because one of them is a big enough update that I have to redo the entire sideboard plan.
Ooh. The
And that's
only
the
thing
Demiri Teachings deck.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
The only restriction is that the deck must still be the same deck. That's the same idea behind the deck.
Yes.
So I have even allowed updates of non-con cards then. For some decks were obviously had some errors in them that...
And I mean, some decks, like the metagame, has changed since the beginning of the Gauntlet. That, like on one of my decks, I think I added like 3 Lone Missionaries to the sideboard. And that's not a cons card, but it just needed a little life game, so...
Yes. I think it is very dangerous to think of the metagame, even in the tournament practice room, because we will run into random stuff. But of course you have to, but you can't... you shouldn't overthink.
Right.
At the same time, though, I think you have ran into a pretty decent sampling of decent decks, and not as much rogue as I thought you would. But I think that's just because people bought in cheap when everybody thought Pauper was on its way to dying. So you're seeing a lot more tier 1 decks in the tournament practice room. In the Just for Fun room. So
actually, this is just like last year. I think this is very representative of the Just for Fun room, because the amount of tier 1 and 2 decks compared to rogue decks is about the same as in the last Gauntlet. But you run into these really weird decks that you don't really understand at all.
yeah,
some of the time.
Like the 5-color Teachings deck.
Yeah, what the heck, man?
I mean, I know during the video you were like, Brennan, you didn't do Teachings, and I'm like, yeah, but Dan, nobody's going to do 5-color Teachings.
But I thought this is Teachings, and it has 2 colors. Oh, it has 3. Oh, it has 4. And then afterwards, Brennan says, "Oh, there was white in it too."
There was white.
So I mean, I'm going to update all of my sideboards for Demiri Teachings. But I'm not going to update it for 5-color Teachings, because that's your...
I think isn't that the same sideboard plan?
Yeah.
I would think so.
I don't know. I mean, there's probably more tricks that the Demiri or the 5-color Teachings can bring in. I mean, it can Teachings for blasts and stuff, so... Craziness. That was besides Icy Hot Hottie versus Quitter.
Yeah,
Quitter.
That was the shortest match in the Gauntlet, I think.
And then the dude who sat down with the Thalids against Double Children, I don't think has got to really show off the deck that it actually is yet, because the dude sat down, played for like 3 minutes, and I have to go. I'm like, oh, come on.
Well, Dan did win like turn 2.
We both had Soul Wardens, and we were both making huge amounts of creatures.
Crazy. Azorius Kitty. Azorius Kitty decimated the goblins.
Yes.
Right? Oh, that wasn't pretty. And then Elf Bomb, like, that was insane. I actually saw at one point you missed a trigger off of the Wall Wisher. You could have been up over 100 life in that game.
Yeah, I know. I missed several. I think I stopped doing it at the end, and then I was at 86.
Yeah, and I was like, you could have kept going, Dan. You could have lived the dream.
I've been over 100 lives in Pauper so many times.
Yeah. So, but like, just the last few videos, you haven't had the best run of luck. But then again, I mean, you played against Azorius Kitty, that crazy 5-color Teachings deck. You played against a couple people who effectively just quit on you. So, I mean, you're playing decent decks, against decent decks, so that's not bad. I do love how you keep running into Negator and his evil mono black land destruction build. That thing is just gross. So
yeah, that happened even before the Gauntlet.
He's out there waiting for you. He's like, "Oh, there's Dan. Time
I
to
think we're
destroy
all
some
at the same
lands."
time, and it's pretty empty in the practice rooms at Swedish right before noon.
Right.
And that's when he shows up.
Yeah, it seems like you do have that unfortunate time zone to deal with. But,
yes, but I'm used to it.
Yeah, I was about to say, I figured you would be. But you don't seem to be hurting too terribly bad. I know you've mentioned it in a couple of videos, but overall, video experience going better or worse this time around?
It's about the same.
You think so?
I like the pauses. I've waited like 25 minutes, I think. It was the worst one. But then I got time to check my email, answer YouTube comments.
That's true.
So, yeah, do the chores.
You're right. Take out
Drink
the trash. Drink some coffee.
Drink some more
Actually
coffee.
speak to my family.
Whoa, what? That's crazy talk, Dan.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy just because I have been biking them 6 hours a day as well.
Wow. No wonder your knees are hurting, man.
Yeah, they're getting stronger.
Good. Yeah, grow stronger. Conquer more lands.
Conquer all of the Swedens.
So any decks you're looking forward to seeing?
I was looking forward to, I want to see what the second round of the Cogs deck did. And I saw it, and I know I need to make some updates.
Well, I mean, again, it played against a rogue, not a deck.
Right. The only thing I can think of is it could stand for, like, Pyroblast. In those kind of decks, because it's a perfect replacement for Skred. Because there's no point in having Skred if there's not really going to be any... I mean, he had a couple of big creatures, but, I mean, you already have the capsules to deal with them. So, I don't know, so stuff like that. But one that I really want to talk about, Dan, and I think you might agree with me here, because we got some wonderful insight, is in the Goblins, versus the Goblins, where you had your... I believe it was
the Zoo.
Zoo versus Goblins. I have it up on the screen for those who can, and for those who can't see it, I'll kind of describe it. The opponent's Goblins, 6 mana up, no cards in hand, has a Goblin Arsonist, and that's a 1/1 that when it dies, it can deal 1 damage to target creature or player. Dan only has a Forest in hand, plenty of mana up, but he has the Core Skyfisher and the Wild Nacatl out on the field. Dan, however, is at 2 life, whereas the opponent's at 10 life. At this point in the game, with the Core Skyfisher and the Wild Nacatl out, the Wild Nacatl is a 3/3, Dan decided to attack. Now, I wrote in the comment that I was yelling, you could get a Bushwhacker, it's a Bushwhacker, because, okay, let's say Dan attacks, he lets him through, takes 3 points of damage, goes to 7. Next turn, if he got the Bushwhacker off the top, he could have, kicked it and come in for 2, and the Skyfisher could only block for 1. But Dan said, Dan, go through what your reasoning was as to why you attacked.
My reasoning here was that he was at 10.
Right.
So I could kill him if I drew a Lightning Bolt or a Tribal Flames next turn. If I attacked. Tribal Flames, I could still kill him next turn. But so my reasoning here was that I will not live very long. So I better win. I better go for the win. And I have to block the Arsonist.
Right.
Because the last time I blocked the Arsonist, I take 1 damage. So this is the time before the last time. This time I have to block it. But if he draws any removal, I'm dead anyway.
Right.
Because he will just hit me. And I think he had I've seen lightning bolts, but I don't know if he had fire blasts. I can't remember now.
I don't remember seeing any fire blasts, but
I don't think you any.
Right, but you run he definitely had lightning bolts. So lightning bolt off the top, fire bolt off the top, fire blast. He had a lot that he could destroy you with. But again, I was thinking more cautiously, but then you were thinking you needed to attack. What we ended up getting, and if you guys don't mind, I'll kind of go through what he said. David Schaffer, someone we used to write with quite a bit, and he thinks about Magic and far more in depth than I think I'm probably capable of. He wrote almost an article in talking about our argument. I don't say argument. We were discussing. I thought it should go one way. You did it your way. Clearly, you won. So your way worked just fine. So here's what David Schaffer wrote. He said, so in Game 2, at 40 minutes, 25 seconds, you have a very similar choice to make, and you opted to play around Bushwhacker while at 1 life. In both instances, it was correct to attack. In Game 1, you do die to a top deck Bushwhacker. This is a 4 in 43 chance because there's only 43 cards left in the guy's deck. But you also die to a top deck Bolt, Chain Lightning, Fire Blast, Death Spark, anything like that. Assuming he is playing a stock list that puts you at about 11 in 43 chance, since they usually run 4 bolts, 4 chains, 4 other things. And he had used a bolt at this point. If you want to get even deeper, it seems he is playing a bit of a budget deck based on the Flame Slash, so I would expect he's more of a 4 bolts, 4 chain. In actuality, the probability could be about 4 in 43 for Bushwhackers versus 3 in 43 for Bolt. But I think it is more likely that even with the Flame Slashes, he has some other burn spell that can dome you, raising the chances of getting burned out. Furthermore, if you just sit there and give him more draws to get that burn spell, if you just sit there, you give him more draws. That is a long way of saying statistically the right line was to attack. The funny thing is that in Game 2, you opt not to attack when you actually had a higher chance of getting killed by a non-Bushwhacker card. Since he had used a Bushwhacker, he was down to just 3 in the 44. He had also used 1 bolt, but an Arsonist also does you in, so the probability is higher he top decks a non-Bushwhacker card. In that situation, it was even better to attack than the first one. He said. Then he goes on to say, he wasn't intending to harp on, he says, I'm not intending to harp on you or Brennan here, but only to highlight how funny Magic is. We all do stuff like this all the time. None of us are perfectly consistent. My tip for you and the comment readers is to pause and think about the percentages when they are available to you, because sometimes a bit of quick estimation can make all the difference. So,
the big aha moment for me was when he wrote about Game 2, because I tried to do reasoning like this. I played a lot of poker, and it's sort of the way you do poker calculations. But in Game 2, the opponent was at 16, I think. And my kill was not as close. So that was the reason why I was more defensive. And that's wrong, because I was still losing as easily as in Game 1, or even easier then. So I should definitely attack, because that was my only hope. And I think the important thing I took away from this is that you always have to think about, how do I win this game? And you have to think of that before you think about, how do I not lose this game?
Right.
So my only way of winning was to attack.
That's true.
It is it's an aggro deck. You can, with the right draw, you can burn him out from 20, but that's not using Tribal Flames for a removal, which you needed to do because goblins can get too out of hand without that ability. I had a few comments. The first is a question: why don't people run Mog Fanatic over the Arsonist and goblins? Do you guys know?
Because the Arsonist can do both. He does the 1 damage from his power, and then he dies, and then he does 1 more. Whereas Fanatic, you have to sacrifice.
Oh, he's not allowed to do his damage. I see, because there's no damage on the stack.
Yes, and the Arsonist is also great with the Sledder then, because you can sacrifice him and make a pretty good fanatic impression.
Okay, yeah, and that makes sense. I was just looking at the builds that I've seen, because Mog Fanatic used to be, one of the better cards in that type of deck, but I guess with, damage off the stack. My comment was not necessarily about play mistakes that you made, because I think you played the game pretty well. I don't think the deck was necessarily super kind to you throughout, and my sideboard plan may have been a little loose. Not cutting the grace or something like that. The edicts, I know you were a little doubtful about them, but anytime you can keep a creature-based deck off of creatures, and this one it definitely is pretty beneficial. I don't think he was a good Goblins player. At one point, it looks like he sacrificed a Sledder to itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He
made a couple of weird.
He was making constant little mistakes that probably maybe didn't impact the overall outcome of the game, but definitely impacted his chances of winning in a fairly negative manner. But I mean, I'm happy because Zoo made it through, and it's one of my builds. Somebody I think has championed it, so definitely. I mean. Again, it just points out that no matter how much Magic you play, there's always probably aspects of your game that you can go in and tighten up. And hearing it from David really puts it into perspective, because I've played some online poker, and you play the percentages a whole bunch, and it's something that I don't know if Magic players do a whole lot of the time, because it's more of a gut game, and there's not 52 cards to worry about. There's thousands of cards to worry about. So it's not as easy to play the percentages. But I always think about what's his outs, what's my outs, and then try to play it off of that. So,
right.
But no, I mean, I think attacking in a deck that's designed to really win through attacking was probably best, because I mean, you weren't going to win any other way, really, and you won game 1. Even if you got you game 2, you still had game 3 to come back on. So I mean, I wouldn't have changed your line of play really at all either. So, when you stop and think about it, I mean, what would you guys say Zoo's matchup against Goblins is? 40-60 favoring Goblins? I mean, something like that.
I think generally Goblins have problems with aggro decks that are slightly slower, so I would say that Zoo is not the dog here. It's 50-50 at worst.
I mean, it's always it's a 5-color deck. I call it 4-color Zoo, but it does have the 1 Una's Grace in it. It's a 5-color deck. It's relying on enchantments that don't really do anything when you play them besides draw you a card. Its creature base isn't as strong, and if you were playing against maybe a fully powered Goblin deck, I think the outcome may have been a little bit different. Because this guy, I don't think he was playing Fire Blasts, which are way better than Flame Slashes and all of that stuff. So, I mean, I think statistically, I don't think it's 50-50. I don't think it favors Zoo. Because, Goblins is one of those, long-standing Pauper powerhouses. So, I think it's gotta favor Goblins.
The big problem for Zoo is that it has no life gain. But if you look at the Azorius Kitty match that I played with Goblins, if you get the early fat blocker down, like Wild Nakata, like a Skyfisher, like Matka Rioters, Goblins can just die.
Yeah.
So you have the flow is very easy to break with the big blocker. And if you don't have the removal, then you have to sit back and wait till you have the removal.
Right. And I went looking through the Zoo deck to see if I could make cuts to include some life gain, and it's just I can't see where. I mean, even in the 75, I just couldn't make it work. Like, the best thing I could come up with is like a couple lone missionaries in the sideboard.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if it's worth it to do that change, because what are you taking out?
That's
are you
always the
taking?
question.
Yeah, that's the problem, because the deck, like, itself, it hangs a lot of like its integrity as a deck on the enchantments. You don't want to take those out. I mean, I have you removing like the prophetic prisms because you don't really need them if everything goes right. So, one interesting thing about this particular build, because it's based on a build that Mikey K originally built back when he was still playing Pauper, Turbo Kitty 3000 has been playing a non-snow version in the weekend events, and he's doing really good. He's been 4-0ing with it. I don't think he's played in like the last couple weekends, but it looks like a really solid build, and it abandons like Screds and stuff like that. So pretty interesting. Playing some Blastoderms and all that good stuff. So,
two comments. First, if you look at the first season of the Pauper Gauntlet, Goblins got really far, and during the first Pauper Gauntlet, I learned a lot about Goblins because I made all the mistakes that this guy made, plus some more, and it still got that far. The big problem with Goblins, or the big thing that makes Goblins so complicated, is that you are often a control deck.
Mm-hmm.
You switch between beatdown and control all the time, and some of the aggressive decks you can control with your removal. So Goblins is actually, and all the interactions with Sledders and Raiders are super complicated. You can often get in 1 or 2 extra damage by thinking really hard about what you're doing.
Right, and people see Goblins and they think, oh, this is just another red deck wins deck. And it's
definitely not.
No, yeah, it's the wrong way to look at that deck, because there's just so many of the aspects of it plays like Dismog War Marshal alone is like a nightmare for a lot of different decks. And then with the Sledder, it suddenly becomes 3 power to another creature if you need it to become that. And so, I mean, there's just so many different lines of play that it has. It has access to burn that would be rare level now, Fire Blast. And, I mean, 4 damage effectively for free. I mean, so, yeah, Goblins is one of those decks that in the right hands, it's really good. It probably doesn't have a ton of like super bad matchups. It has access to really good sideboard cards. I mean, I'm happy Zoo won, and I don't think your lines of play were bad. I think he made bad mistakes playing it, the Goblins. So like at one point I was like, there's no way he meant to sack that Sledder to itself.
No.
And I was like, that was a lucky break. But that's part of Magic. Like, you can't play the game for your opponent.
Right.
Especially on MTGO. You can help out a kid at a pre-release, though.
Hey.
If you look at the game I played with the Goblins against Azorius Kitty, the one I won, where I pretty much death sparked him.
Right.
For 15 damage or something.
That's awesome, though.
That was sweet.
Yeah, that's...
But keeping control of your death sparks and where they land in your graveyard is pretty important.
Yeah, that's how Deluxecoy beat me in the league. He death sparked me to death.
It does a lot of damage.
Yep. And I had no way to get it out of the graveyard, so it just kept happening.
What were you playing?
Devil Children.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that should be pretty vulnerable to Deathspark.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, it was.
Yeah. Deathspark's also one of the big control elements of the Goblins deck.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty amazing because you can control it yourself with the sacking ability too.
Yes.
So
the second comment is you know the name of the second YouTube channel where we put the Gauntlet videos?
yeah, SNG prop.
Yeah. Regarding the poker percentages and stuff, I used to play Sit and Goes and got paid for it.
Sit and go.
So I was a prop player at poker sites,
How funny.
getting games started and stuff. And Sit and Goes is the most mathematical version of poker. It's pretty much sold that you have to know the math. And then you can play fairly close to optimal. And you don't have to care about like tendencies and reads and stuff. So the soft parts of poker goes away and it's extremely math-based.
That's
So
cool,
that's why I'm
actually.
used to these kinds of calculations, but I do them too seldom in Magic. Maybe just because I'm lazy.
I don't.
This is Magic.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call you lazy, Dan.
I mean, I woke up this morning and I was like, oh god, I've got to watch these like 6 videos before the show tonight. I have to cram these in to make sure I'm up to date.
Yeah,
So I'm like, there's no lazy there.
Yeah, last week, unfortunately, threw me off. I think I'm probably still like 10 videos behind. Just
Good. That means I'm not falling too much behind, but it's taking longer than I expected.
What to get the game started or to
No,
finish up the
that
round?
too. But just to, I thought we would be at round 3 now. I will try to make sure that round 3 started in a week.
Okay. Well, I think it's still pretty popular, so do what you can. But yeah, I love the fact that we're generating these kind of conversations on a format that was presumed dead almost a year ago. You know what I mean?
Yes. I think round 3 will be a slaughterhouse.
A lot of rogue decks will go to die.
I'm not sure it's the rogue decks. It's fairly random. But last year we lost, I think, 21 out of 47 decks in the first round, and this is much like the first round of last year.
Right.
Because we upped the opposition a little in the tournament practice room, and now it's single elimination. So I expect that if I end up going into round 3 with 72 decks, perhaps, maybe 30 will die, or somewhere between 20 and 30 will go away in the third round.
That's gonna be tough, because how many decks did you just start out with? Like 18 that you had submitted before you started taking submissions?
23.
23. So if we lose 30, that's only going to leave 20 that were submitted by other people, more than likely.
No, I think a lot of the 23 decks will die as well.
See, but those are like the cream of the crop, though, for the most part.
I would remember last Gauntlet. Delver, Temporal Fissure, both lost in the first round.
That's true.
It just takes one bad matchup and a bit of bad draws.
And that's the variance thing that I wish they would get rid of.
Okay.
It wouldn't be Magic.
It wouldn't be MSA.
I know.
Then we're playing Warhammer.
I've never played Warhammer.
But there's still randomness in Warhammer.
I guess that's true too. Huh.
Should I go through which decks are still risking elimination in round 2?
Sure. That would be super.
Let's do that.
One Land Spy.
Oh no.
Allies.
Allies. They're going off to war.
Yeah, they haven't really gone off to war yet, but they should. Green Grifters.
Poor Green Grifters.
Gruul Kitty.
Gruul Kitty. One of the best names. Which one? Mana Burn?
Yes. Mono Red Elemental Ping.
That's
And
okay.
keep in mind, Mana Burn's going to be a completely different build, so that's going to be really, really interesting.
So is Mono Red Elemental Ping, actually.
Seriously?
Yes. Has
good.
been rebuilt.
Okay, because there's some stuff in that just was not effective.
Yeah, and I think this build is much better, so there is some hope.
Awesome.
We also risk Squawks to Plowshares.
Oh, Squawks.
Poor Squawks.
And Turbo Fog.
Huh, Turbo Fog.
That's not too many.
No.
The Turbo Fog deck that drives me crazy because it just feels like it shouldn't be 3 colors.
And that might be its demise.
Yeah.
I still think it should be white-blue.
I think it should be blue-green.
Okay. Anyway.
That's my take on it. It should be the blue-green Turbo Fog that everybody knows and loves.
Definitely either of those would probably be stronger than the 3-color version.
Yeah.
I don't expect to win with One Land Spy, but I will do my utmost, and I will make sure I win with all the others.
Yes.
All of them.
You will dominate.
And only 4 losses would be fantastic.
No kidding.
My first estimate was 9 losses in the first 2 rounds, but
Still not too bad.
9 lost decks.
Yeah.
I was super happy how good White Hot Hottie did this round.
That was like the big argument for double elimination, that the deck actually got to work one time.
Yeah,
so I'm definitely gonna do double elimination again if I do the Pauper Gauntlet again.
And I think you definitely should. I mean, it lets you learn these decks on the fly, which is super, super helpful. I think it's awesome. And I mean, some of the decks are just kind of completely out of left field. Did Bugs and Pigs win the second?
Oh yes, it did.
Oh, good. Okay, I can't remember.
Bugged and pigged him to death.
Okay, excellent. I don't know if I actually watched that one, but Galactic President or whatever his name is, he deserves it. He deserves the win. So, excellent. No, I'm looking forward to seeing more round 2, and then things get real in round 3.
Kroka Jand also needs to play. Risk of elimination.
I'm super optimistic that that's not going to run into mono black control again, and actually get to do its thing, because the match that you played against it, when Sammy Deluxe played it against you, it looks so freaking impressive. And then that was like 2 months ago. And then now things are so different. So I'm just hoping that it can get out there and grow some big old Crocoronuras and just run over people. So
yeah, I also think it needs to be brought up, the parable of the great owl versus the machine men. One of the absolute greatest improv stories I've ever heard. That was pretty awesome.
I got the idea a couple of days before, and then I thought, okay, it has to be a green deck, because that's easy to build a fairy tale around.
Sure.
Yes. And you
went with the green one versus a Boros Metalcraft deck. And that turned into a story.
It did, and it was great. I love the wolf, and then the slippery bogles.
Yes, the bogles.
Bogles.
Go back to the swamp, bogles.
No one likes you weird-tongued, freaky things.
Nobody likes you because hexproof isn't fair. Stop it. But
so funny. And then Dan's beautiful, eloquent story, and he says, "And from the swamp came the bogles." Oh my god.
Typically what I like to do is bring up the channels and look over the matches and go, what was interesting that sticks out to me from the names. Pox versus Spy, of course, because that was bonkers. How he just he went off. I'm happy that my toolbox, the Torture Toolbox won. That was really nice. I'm sorry that I put in a Tortured Existence deck apparently everybody hates it.
I had a lot of fun in that match.
I know, it was fun to watch. I think the black-blue creatureless control deck is actually really interesting.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. Winning by drain lives and stuff.
It actually reminds me of the old Necropotence deck from the Black Summer.
Really?
But that's probably just all the drain lives.
Yeah, that's what it is, because there's not a overpowered enchantment letting you trade life for cards.
But probing and draining was felt very powerful.
Both of the Presence decks won, so that was pretty cool.
Yes, they were both risking elimination.
Yes, that was awesome to see both of them win.
And I got the combo both times with Banned Presence.
Yeah, which was just amazing.
Has anyone made you run through it yet? I can't remember seeing...
No, I think he quit.
Yeah, as I said, I can't remember anyone letting you complete the attack for 1 billion or whatever.
I was thinking, okay, I have to get to 50 at least.
Right.
In that match.
Oh, and I was far back enough to look at videos that we talked about last week. So let's see on the other channel. I like how you have split these up between the channels this year.
I fear that some people would get bored with the double elimination thing. So a lot more videos are going as a G-Prop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really effective because we do have a couple people like putting up like vintage videos right now, which is insane to me because they're like, yeah, I'm going to play some vintage. I'm like,
yeah, shout out to Binkaby, our new video maker.
Yeah, I just finished watching his Ant and other vintage video he just put up. I saw those today.
Yeah,
pretty interesting stuff.
Yes, I have not had time to watch. I met him
through Farfisher.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
that's his buddy.
Haven't heard from Farf in a while.
Farf himself has computer problems, so he can't make videos. So he made his friend do it.
Yeah, poor Farf. Joined the league, played one match, had to drop.
Oh no!
But I've heard that
he has made some breakthroughs in the Time Walk deck.
Really?
He's taking more turns?
Dig through time.
Dig through time.
Oh my gosh. That's so ridiculous in that deck. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's actually the big problem for the deck has been Yund. But against Yund, he can now sideboard out all the Howling Mine effects. And still a Time Walk every turn.
Still? My God, that's awesome.
The Dig Through Time is crazy.
It is super good. Yeah.
The amount of cards that Time Walk puts in the graveyard is...
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, does he run Snapcaster to Snapcaster back the Dig Through Time? Because I would like to see that.
I don't think he played any creatures, or at least last video set he did.
There's been an Emrakul jumping in and out, but I don't think he's in there anymore.
No, I think he was winning through the Mill Jace a lot.
Yeah, and Elixir of Immortality.
Doesn't that just seem mean?
Yes.
I'm going to use my Elixir. Make us draw both of our decks. Cast them into the yard. Oh, I get all mine back.
I don't think I've done videos with any deck that has been hated and loved so much as the Time Walk deck.
It's an amazingly fun deck to watch. I mean, we talked about it
on the modern, on the modern circuit and paper. I want to watch people do that.
Dan and I talked about it last week, where one of my early Magic things was I used to try to Gaia's Blessing into Time Warp during Weatherlight and Tempest and all of that. Mm-hmm. Infinite Recur Time Warp like that. So to see Farf do it, I'm like, it's the dream come to life. Awesome. it is amazing. So no, it's a great deck, and so yeah, that's why he had to drop from the league, because he's taking all the turns he needs. So
yes, he has time walked into 2015.
yes, it's much later than that. From what I can tell, he's probably somewhere out there like in like 33 at this point. So
awesome.
Any other matches that you want to talk about?
Let me think. Those are the two I want to talk about a little bit. You know, I do want to update. One of the drawbacks to the deck that I submitted is it was actually a modern legal Pauper deck. So I need to go back, and I think my fear was to make it too generic. I didn't want to genericize it to where it ends up being just like basically is it control or something to that effect, or just another trinket deck. So I'm going to have to take a hard look at it over the next couple of days and see if I can keep its uniqueness and still have a more viable. But I really do think Pyroblast would have really helped, because if you could have Pyroblasted those rewinds, screw those rewinds. I hate them.
I don't know why he played them. They seem super weak.
Yeah, I guess just to untap the mana, which seemed to work.
It's not a bad spell.
He would have a lot of problems against other control decks.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
But and then my updates, talk a little bit about that. As far as what I'm going to be sending you, Demira Teachings is Obzin's most current build, so it's going to be quite a bit different. Persistently Undying gains basically just a few things. I don't need to rewrite the sideboard plan for it, which is really nice. Just a little bit of life gain. And then Project X gains Jungle Hollows over the guild gates, because I don't know if you've got a chance. I haven't seen them yet really pop up in the videos to play with the common refugee lands.
No, actually, I've been saving all the decks that have been updated. With the Tarkir lands, so I haven't got them yet. I'm playing
great.
Those last, right before One Land Spine.
They're really, really good. Starting your game out at like 21, 22, 23 life, really nice. Even though your opponent's doing it too a lot of the time.
The only argument for not playing them is if you have gate synergies, and the only gate synergy I can think of is the Gate Reaper.
Right.
The Divine or the Gatekeepers, and both of those are too slow for Pauper. Yeah. I mean, they just are.
But they are in Love Train.
Well, yeah, but Love Train's a different beast.
Yep.
Because Love Train doesn't care if it wins at one life, as long as it wins. So, just wants to spread the love.
The Love Train.
Yeah.
We have not... were you finished, Sam?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Were you finished? We haven't talked about the most popular video in the Pauper Gauntlet of the second season.
Which one's that?
Maybe you talked about this before I came on. The bug. The tallied bow control.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talked about the sync with the hymn to Turox and the sinkholes. Yes.
Yeah. No, we talked about it. I put up, because somebody in the league comment was like, why you can play these cards, why shouldn't I just play mono black control? And I'm like, well, because I'll kick you out of the league, because they're illegal cards in Pauper. Just because Wizards broke the filter doesn't mean that I want you guys cheating. But I know, like, I watched that match and I was like, what surprise? And then I saw him tap 2 black and I was like, oh god, this is gonna not be good. And it was a him, and I was like, that's not good.
I made the mistake of jumping around. Like, what? He's got to show me something. He's going to announce something? It's like, what is it? But I kept hitting you going, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Oh wow, I can't believe he did that. So then I was like, okay, fine, I'll just watch the whole thing. I was trying to skip to the good part.
But, like, yeah, the fact that the filter is broken all the way across both of the Pauper formats kind of isn't good. But what happens in the Gauntlet happens in the Gauntlet, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, even if they're hardcore cheating, the fix is supposed to come out next Wednesday. Yeah. So at least it's supposed to be really, really short-lived. And hopefully none of those type of shenanigans will knock any decks out. Besides him, the Turok, I mean, I can't really think of... I guess Wasteland? Or, not Wasteland.
Strip Mine?
Strip Mine. There's a possibility.
Strip Mine?
Yeah. Because it was printed as a common in Arabian Nights.
I thought they could.
Or Antiquities.
Oh my god.
The original set it was printed in, it was accidentally printed in the wrong slot. That's back before Wizards got the correlations down correctly.
Yeah, that would be Maze of Ith too. Same
thing. So it was just in the wrong slot on the card sheet, so it was printed at the wrong rarity. So, but thankfully with Strip Mine, they're still pretty expensive, I think. So hopefully you won't run into that. It was in Vintage
Masters. It's like down to 2 ticks or something.
Oh my god. Dan, you're going to run into a sinkhole Strip Mine deck, and it's going to really remind you of the Black Winter.
That's not what I'm afraid of. Imagine running into a good Delver deck with 4 Strip Mines.
Oh my god.
Oh, the setback.
That can out-tempo you pretty bad.
So horrible. Oh, God, I hope that doesn't happen. Oh, or Trinket playing him the Turoks.
Yeah, I think you saw why him to Torque is not as good as people think in the match, because he got several useless him to Thorax when we were in top deck mode.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the danger of discard, I think, overall.
Yes, of course, it's a ton better than Wrenchmind.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just the random ability, taking it out of your opponent's hands to discard.
Imagine opening a burn deck on turn 2. That's pretty good.
It is. I mean, that could be 6 points of life that you just saved yourself or something like that. So,
or just take his second and third land and then he's down to doing 3 points of damage a turn.
Like, oh, I only play 14 lands and you just take 2 of them, so I'm going to go 8 cards without drawing another one or whatever percentage it is. So
all the crappy Pauper mana bases are really vulnerable to him.
Yeah. And thankfully you don't have too many out there that you're playing, so
when was the fix?
Next Wednesday?
Yeah,
okay,
not exactly 8 days. It's not.
Yeah, then I should probably wait with starting round 3 until it is fixed.
I would say so.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
I mean, that's going to be full elimination time, not just like the 7 decks that are left.
Yes.
And I mean, that'll give your brain a little time to reset, and you can write.
I think I have about 20 left to play. So
good.
I have plenty to do. Those were only the ones risking elimination, but there's a lot of practice matches left as well.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Well, guys, it's getting pretty late over here.
Yeah, and I need to play some Pauper.
Dan, you better start playing some Pauper.
You need
to start logging in right now. So
now you get to decide which deck I should play right now.
Oh,
I don't even know what's left. Play the Mono Red Tron. And then play a deck that's up for elimination.
Okay.
Play not One Land Spy, obviously.
No.
Because you're going to save that for last.
Save it.
Yep.
Name the up for eliminations one more time.
You should see my color-coded spreadsheet.
Yeah,
it's getting messy.
Craziness.
So none of the 23 decks are left. It's One Land Spy, Allies.
Allies, that's the one I want to see.
There you go, Allies.
Still waiting for the dual lands. Green Grifters.
This is going to...
Mana Burn.
It's just going to lose. That's just going to be sad. Yeah, play Mana Burn. There you go, because it's a brand new list.
All right.
Yeah, play Mana Burn. Play Mana Burn, play Mono Red Tron.
So I can watch it while I should be working tomorrow.
I have a problem with Mana Burn while I'm waiting with it because JPH Snake sent me all his sideboard plans in an email and didn't put it on the web pages, and I can't find that email. So he's going to resend it, but he hasn't done so yet.
Oh.
So I should probably wait for that until I play Mana Burn.
Dang it. Because I want to see the new build. It looks so different.
Yep.
So different. So different. Then play Green Grifters.
All right.
Yeah, because there will be blood after that, I think. I voted for it, and then it just did so bad in the first round.
Which one?
Green Grifters.
Yeah.
When you open it up for the community vote, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. I think that could have good game.
More like it has GGs.
Yeah, it has GGs.
I'm going to win with Green Grifters. All I need is a creature deck.
Yeah, all you need is you need goblins, or maybe not goblins, but you need maybe Stompy. Stompy seems like a really a good matchup. Anything without a lot of creature kill.
White Weenie or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then if I could request, play the Jund deck.
Yeah, it's only also waiting for a possible update.
Jeez. That's what happens, it just being a week after the pre-release.
On the other hand, he hasn't sent me an update, I think. I have to check that.
Yeah, and I think Sammy Deluxe works a little bit slower.
There are two decks I'm really excited to play again. It's Mono Blue Artifacts. That looks super strong. And, of course, the turn 2 kill deck, Glass Cannon Red.
Glass Cannon. Oh, gosh. If you turn 2 kill again, both games.
It'd be beautiful.
You'll just win an award.
You need to tie those videos together.
You'd be like, I live in magical Christmas land forever now.
Yes. That should be a video compilation. All the turn 2 kills with Glass Cannon Red.
Oh. Yeah, heck, more than one is good. More than 2 is a dream. So
I think the magical Christmas land would be to have the turn 2 kill with Glass Cannon Red and lose to a turn 1 kill from One Land Spy.
That would be horrific.
We need those two decks to fight each other. We might have to make something like that happen.
It would be the 3-minute long video that Dan puts up that actually 3 games got played.
Right.
Instead of the guy quitting. Dan would have to put, watch.
No, seriously, it's full matches.
It's a full match, guys. Trust me.
Yeah, it's long, excellent Magic matches. Smack.
Yay, smashy.
Excellent. Okay.
All right, well, cool.
Talk to you in a week, guys.
Yep, I think that brings us to the end. We will talk to you, Dan, verbally. I'm sure we'll email back and forth before then. But this is the Standard Pauper Show.
Stop.
Go to what?
Stop. Can I do a promotion for something?
Oh, of course.
Please.
Oh, I want to. If you guys are at all into, I run the Fan of History show.
Yes.
And the last episode is the political overview of the world in 800 BC. And I was so surprised when I found, after I'd done all the episodes for the 9th century BC, I knew so much. There's so much information available. So we have a huge political overview of the world. And there are maybe somewhere between 50 and 100 different civilizations that we know about. And there's just... I was so amazed. It was double the size of the earlier overview videos for 1900 BC.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch it. Yeah, that sounds great. The Fan of History is completely different from Magic. This is actual history, cool stuff that happens. Dan is not boring to listen to. Don't think of this as a lecture, because this is more of a talk about all the cool stuff that happens kind of history lesson.
Yeah, I try to make it a bit casual and fun.
Yeah,
but it's all solid historical knowledge. Mm-hmm. And next week I will be doing starting a 3-parter about Sparta.
Ah, yes. Everybody loves Sparta.
I don't know much about Sparta.
Extremely different from what people think, actually. I've gone so deep on Sparta, and it's a unique civilization. It really has very few similarities to other Greek cities of the time. It's just totally incredibly weird.
If what I've learned from Frank Miller is correct...
no, it's not.
they fed their babies to wolves, and then if the babies lived, then they were Spartans.
Yeah. That's pretty much the gist of it, actually.
Oh.
But they also did not approve of money. So you had to be poor to be a Spartan. That's why you call it like living like a Spartan. You're not allowed to eat good things. You're not allowed to have money.
Spartan living. Well,
you're not allowed to own more than any other Spartan, pretty much.
Wow.
But what if you wanted like a flat screen TV?
Then you better buy one for everybody.
So all the charlatans and all the thieves, etc., they avoided Sparta because there was nothing to gain there.
Wow.
Except for death. That guy kicked that guy into a well.
They had plenty of death.
I like how all the Spartans in that movie had Scottish accents. I'm sorry. My wife and I saw that. We saw the original 300. We haven't seen the sequel. We saw it on our 7-year anniversary or something like that.
Romantic. I'll send you the link for the 800 BC episode.
Awesome. Yeah. I like your show. All right. That is on the Fan of History on the YouTube. But if you want to see more Magic the Gathering, you have MagicGatheringStrat.com. YouTube channel, you're already here for most part, unless you're listening to this on the iTunes. That's
2,000 subscribers.
That is awesome. So now, we also have Twitter. We do a lot of announcing when the videos go up on Twitter. Dan's also, the S&G prop gets announced there as well. A lot of stuff going on Facebook as well. Good conversations out there. So please like and subscribe. Go out, get the iTunes, download it. I will upload this episode in a couple of days. So, I guess that brings us to the end of the Standard Pauper show. And I am Brennon.
I'm Sam.
I'm a crazy Swedish guy.
That's right. Thank you for listening to the Standard Pauper show.
The Standard Pauper show.
Standard Pauper, y'all.
Standard Pauper.